Saiyans are a naturally aggressive and formidable warrior race, who were once hell-bent on conquering planets, colonizing them for their resources, for the thrill of the battle, and conquest of nations. These aliens love to fight. They relish in engaging in the blood sport that is fisticuffs, and beam-struggle spectacles that are visual displays of brutality. With this in mind, why are the Universe Saiyans such antithetical, contradictory, little cop-out bitches? Yes, I'm sounding a bit crude here and I acknowledge my lack of bashfulness, but keep this in mind. It's coming from a place of passion as a fan of the Dragon Ball lore. In this video, I will criticize the horrid character designs of Kale, Caulifla and Cabba as Saiyans from a bodybuilding standpoint, and including their outlandish power scale placement as a passionate anime enthusiast / otaku. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of our physique lineup here. Cabba, bring your bitch ass here. Look at this dude. Look at him. Those spaghetti noodle arms, string bean legs, and the chest flattened into a tortilla on a skinny bitch's ass cheeks. This nigga is so tiny and petite. There isn't a single ounce of muscle mass on this man. Understandably, considering Akira Toriyama, RIP the GOAT, considering Akira Toriyama's late art style of having an aversion to rugged mass, but in the totality of the Dragon Ball lore as a whole, it makes no goddamn sense. Remember when Saiyans were bloodthirsty, warmongering, spiky-haired black Air Force Ones ready to shoot the fate on sight? Well, lucky for you, this good-natured fellow is not a threat in this regard because not only does he not sport the temperament of a Saiyan, he doesn't have the broad shoulders, wide lats, massive arms, or any form of vascularity indicating brute physicality. The motherfucker doesn't even have a tail, so how is he even a Saiyan? Would you even acknowledge Cabba as a Saiyan, let alone a member of the Dragon Ball franchise, if you were presented an image of him 10 years ago, back when Dragon Ball was the latest and greatest piece of material from Akira Toriyama? Probably not. You probably think he was fan art depicting a self-insert of some pencil neck geek working a 9-to-5 at 7-Eleven. I'm so pressed at the fact that this motherfucker doesn't even have a tail. You know, the tail that pretty much signifies a Saiyan's ability to transform into a Zulu after staring at a full moon, gaining bloodthirst for carnage and destruction as a giant no-shit ape with thunderclap strength to mollywop motherfuckers out of existence. Seriously, holy crap, was the design a letdown. I'm just going to address the counter-arguments towards my critique of Cabba's build because I can already predict the cliche arguments. Argument number 1. Oh well, Cabba is 17 years of age. What 17-year-old has a lot of muscle? I can easily dismiss this asinine argument by bringing up the wide array of 17-year-olds who are participating in athletics presenting incredible muscular development at a relatively young age. But that's just too goddamn easy. Instead, I'll keep it in the Dragon Ball lore and bring up Team Gohan. Team Gohan is an already established character in the Dragon Ball lore, notable for his performance against Perfect Cell. Sporting a very aesthetic physique at an even younger age than Cabba at 16 years of age, he completely mocks Cabba from every angle. Argument number 2. It's not realistic for a 17-year-old to have large muscles. People who state this rationale as a means to justify Cabba's physique in an anime simply don't understand the purpose of fiction, lore, or mythology. The purpose of mythology, particularly Greek mythology, was to tell an inspiring and uplifting tale that sparked a fire in the listener. It doesn't matter if Hercules was this mythical demigod with unattainable muscle mass who passed 12 labors through determination and sheer will. What matters is the elevation of the masculine spirit in a world that keeps throwing crap your way in an attempt to take from you and demoralize the average man. In such a world, if you can learn how to fight back by drawing inspiration from fiction, you will resurrect into a higher state of existence. You'll be reborn into something far greater than your opponents and detractors. Obstacles will come your way, and you will brush them off as if they are mild inconveniences. You can take on the world. I agree with natural hypertrophy's assessment of anime being the modern Greek mythology. Get over it, anime haters. Your breath stinks. Now wash your mouth with the tears of Disney executives that they lost $10 billion in the last 5 years of releasing shitty movies. Anyway, this appeal and argument for realism in anime is just a desire of decadence and the glorification of mediocrity, masquerading as relatability. These people will self-impose limitations on themselves and others. Since this is a bodybuilding channel, I'll relate this point to bodybuilding by proclaiming if you think in such a fashion, you will never have an incredible physique. You will never maximize your natural bodybuilding potential by setting realistic goals in quotations because you've already placed a limitation on yourself, hence you will never shoot beyond it. Now on to our next Saiyan of critique, Kaulifla. Remember how female Saiyans were initially depicted throughout the series via filler episodes, flashbacks, as well as movies like Bardock, the father of Goku? You know, the original muscle mommies who had well-structured arms and legs while retaining their femininity? Hell, they also looked as if they had weight to them as well. They also looked primal at the same time while doing it. Well, you can kiss all that goodbye as we introduce you to a character with a massive head, narrow shoulders, and large-ass baggy MC Hammer pants. Can't touch this. Let's not forget those string bean Mike Wazowski arms making a comeback. I'm genuinely repulsed by this decision to make characters appear more cute instead of menacing or awe-inspiring. Yes, Kaulifla is aesthetically pleasing in isolation, but her placement in the Dragon Ball universe is unjustified. Her design could have been much better. As a side note, I will never stop bitching over their lack of tails. Kaulifla just doesn't have that female Saiyan it factor when you look at her at base form. Even when she transforms into a Super Saiyan, you expect this chick to gain some level of respectable muscularity. Nope, that just doesn't happen. Similar to Cabba's bitch ass, this lolly with tits doesn't cultivate any mass when she unlocks the golden hair warrior transformation we all know and love. Furthermore, to add insult to injury, this half-wake dyke unlocks Super Saiyan transformation in the most detestable fashion in Dragon Ball history. Remember when Super Saiyan power came in response to the need and not desire as stated by Goku the Goat himself when training his son Gohan in the hyperbolic time chamber? Remember when Vegeta had a deep feeling of inferiority and had to depend on sheer zero willpower as he was training in 450 times gravity. Remember when Vegeta shook hands with a massive meteorite that threatened to bitch slap him out of existence, forcing him to relinquish his inferiority complex in order to finally attain the Super Saiyan transformation? Remember when future Trunks had to watch the carcass of his mentor Gohan in order to transform into a Super Saiyan in a giant golden blaze of rage? Remember when the OG pure of heart awakened by fury Super Saiyan warrior Son Goku had to watch his best friend turn into a pile of smithereens in order to get Super Saiyan? Well, ladies and gentlemen, throw away all that crap. Throw all that crap out the window because Kaulifla gained Super Saiyan after, drumroll please, a tingly feeling in her back. Really, nigga? Like, really, nigga? Come on now, are you serious? These dudes were dead ass serious when they did that shit. These dudes were dead ass serious when they had Cabba explain Super Saiyan transformation as an intense emotion as a catalyst for the ascension, only to follow it up with a tingling sensation that ultimately causes Kaulifla to transform into the golden hair warrior of legend. Make it make sense. This reason is ridiculous. This justification ultimately attempted to paint Kaulifla as a genius, when in actuality it painted her as a massive asspool of a character who contributed to the destruction of an established principle in the lore. Retconning is the death of continuity and consistency in a story of fictional universe of any kind. This was by far one of the worst, if not the worst, retconning in the Dragon Ball franchise. What drugs were utilized during the formation of such a premise for an episode? And who in Kami thought the core Dragon Ball fanbase would not feel disrespected at such an atrocious alteration? I mean, it's not like you assholes didn't just alter an iconic tenet of the transformation, right? Granted, at least Cabba's reasoning for transforming was a bit respectable aside from his melodramatic nature compared to the previously established characters. Sadly, like Cabba, the string bean Kaulifla doesn't put on any muscle mass. These Universe 6 Saiyans are built like malnourished children from Zimbabwe. I'll concede a plausible redeeming trait in Kaulifla is her sassiness, considering the indication of Saiyans to select strong-willed wives, as stated by the Prince Vegeta himself. And such sassiness prompts entertaining interactions between the contrasting attitudes of characters like Goku, a pure-hearted knucklehead who loves to fight, paired with Kaulifla, a sassy teenager who loves to call Goku an old man prior episodes to getting her shit pushed back by the sliding Bukaki Ultra Instinct Kamehameha. That shit was glorious, man. You saw that? It was incredible. But in all seriousness, is all that sass enough to offset her monotonous character design? Nah, bro. I imagine the female Saiyan to resemble an extremely fit and strong woman with robust quads and defined arms, but instead we got a lolly with tits. Don't get me wrong, I love tits, but could you imagine tits paired with some nice legs and arms? Kaulifla could have been even more of a baddie, with a developed muscular physique while maintaining her femininity. Later on, I will display how the Saiyans, especially the female Saiyans, should have looked, but it's time to talk about Timu Broly. Oh shit, I mean Kale. Kale's base form leaves very little to be desired. Just look at her. She's a shy and timid character with a petite stature. I do love the skin tone differences in the three Saiyans when you put them side by side to one another, but in isolation, you can't help but acknowledge the missed opportunity of delivering an absolute unit of a lady. You think we'd receive a unit of a lady? Boy, was this wish delivered in a monkey's paw sort of way. Be careful what you wish for, guys, because you just might get it. What do we get when she initially transformed into Super Saiyan? We got Broly with tits. We got canon Rule 63 Broly before GTA 6, ladies and gentlemen. The trackers are currently foaming at their mouths and I can already hear a stampede of keyboards typing off. I thought you said the problem with these characters is their lack of muscularity. Isn't it a good thing that Kale is buff in the transformation? This transformation would have been positively received by me if, and only if, Kale was a man. It's not sexist, it's the truth. Remember my initial statement in regards to wanting female Saiyans to present a muscular build while retaining their femininity? They dropped the ball hard on this one and pulled the biscuit from Hunter x Hunter. This would be like if you have an infatuation with gym girls who are muscular and as a straight man, and one of your boys says, "Hey, I know this girl I like you to meet. She's just your type, man." And then she shows up with the most androgenic and masculine traits that are a dead giveaway to her clitoris being the size of your thumb because she's been blasting 5,000 milligrams of Trenbolone, Winstrol, and every other anabolic steroid underneath the sun, essentially forcing her into a transition to a man with secondary sex characteristics. So get that weak ass argument out of here. Saiyans are comparable to humans from a standpoint of sexual dimorphism, a biological trait where the males and females of species have different physical or behavioral characteristics. Why in the name of Kami should a female Saiyan present the same level of muscularity as their male counterpart? To add further insult to injury, this bitch completely face tanked the Super Saiyan Blue Kamehameha during the Tournament of Power by walking through it like it was a faulty water hose being projected at her. Goku, a Universe 7 Saiyan, an experienced martial artist, and someone who has been training longer than existence, got his iconic attack curb stomped, all in the name of nostalgia points. These Universe 6 Saiyans are infamous for their logical inconsistency in the canon. Character designs and presentation of the Universe 6 Saiyans were terrible.